This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
I heard you've been looking for me, but you look for trouble. You're gonna see that your words are dangerous. Your talk is cheap.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to another episode of Extreme Resurrection. I'm your host, James Gruenberg, alongside with me, my partner, Steve Riddle. Steve, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back here as we continue our trek through 2007. We are, of course, on the with these two episodes we're going to talk about. We're on the eve, basically, of Backlash.
Yeah, we are. We're on to the European tour of WWE. It seemed like always around this time after WrestleMania that they go on their Europe tour. And as we'll see here, we're in Italy and England for our next two shows. So we're on the European tour of WWE here before Backlash.
Yeah, I thought it was cool that they actually that they did the shows in Italy, because usually they would just do the UK. But I think it was definitely different that they branched out and did a whole week of shows in someplace different, like Italy, where we'd never seen that before.
No, usually, yeah, they would usually do like a whole European tour, but I never really saw the shows anywhere else besides the UK, in that even not in Europe, but also in Japan, they were only doing the house shows, not really the Monday Night Raws in Japan, maybe once in a while too, but it was mostly the house shows were in Europe, and then the main shows were either back in the US or only in the UK. So again, it was a nice touch. They did all three shows in Italy. Raw was in Italy that the night before. It's in Italy now for ECW, and I don't know if it was, but I'm guessing it was also in Italy for SmackDown as well.
It was, yeah, and actually, historic SmackDown. That was the 400th episode.
Wow! So Italy got a treat for it being the 400th episode. So good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before we get into tonight's show, let's circle back, because I found an answer to a question that we were wondering. We were wondering why Hardcore Holly was taken off of TV on ECW. He loses to Snitsky the last time we covered, and he isn't seen until he is on Monday Night Raw. Later in the year 2007, Hardcore Holly had a very bad staph infection, and it would keep him sidelined for around 4 to 5 months. And that is why he was taken off of TV. I didn't know that staph infections could be that bad. You heard Stone Cold one time was wrestling with a staph infection, and this and that, so they'll be okay. But I didn't know that it could actually take a lot of time away from the ring to get healthy from a staph infection.
Yeah, I mean, depending if you let it go unchecked for that long, it can be serious. I mean, you also hear the infamous story that I think Randy Savage, right before WrestleMania 5, suffered a staph infection, and but he didn't want to obviously miss the payday. So if you watch that match, you'll notice his one elbow was heavily bandaged up. So very serious. And I think also I want to say 96 when Undertaker and Mankind had the Boiler Room Brawl at one point. Taker also suffered a staph infection. It got at one point got so severe they were worried he was going to lose his arm. So. Those things can, like I said, if they go unchecked and don't get treated, they can get very serious. So, good for Holly to get that taken care of. And if it means he misses a couple months, at least it doesn't result in a far more serious injury.
No, it doesn't. And another note on staph infections, because I just saw this because Bushwhacker Butch had just passed away. He did have a staph infection about maybe 10 years ago or so that he did not get checked and was just trying to take care of it himself. And that got worse as time went by with him. And I feel like that also caught up to Butch as well. So rest in peace to Bushwhacker Butch, who we lost over this past WrestleMania weekend in 2023. So, if you don't get something checked, it can become a lot worse. So good on Holly for getting this checked out.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah, rest in peace to Bushwhacker Butch.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So with that, we're here live in Milan, Italy. This is ECW, April 17th, 2007. And the last thing we remember seeing last week was that CM Punk joined the New Breed. So here we are now. The New Breed is in the ring. They introduce CM Punk to the group. He shakes hands with all of the members. And he doesn't give a reason why he joined the New Breed. He says that his reasons are his choice, and nobody needs to know his reasons except him. RVD comes out, and he wants to talk to Punk directly. He tells Elijah Burke to shut up and that he's only talking to Punk. He says that RVD says that Punk will regret his decision to join the New Breed, and he challenges Elijah Burke to a match. Punk also steps in saying he wants to fight RVD, but Burke says, no, I got this one. You hold out, and I will take care of RVD. So tonight it's going to be RVD versus Elijah Burke. What did you think of this segment here, Steve?
It was fine. Punk kind of doing the stereotypical, I don't need to explain my actions kind of thing. RVD with a nice little comeback, and right off the bat, you can see that it's clear that what Punk's intentions are is that he fancies himself to be potentially the leader of the New Breed, because after RVD challenged Burke, Punk specifically says, if you want to challenge a leader, you challenge me. And that's when Burke kind of realizes, it's like, hey, wait a minute, I'm the leader here. I take over. I'm, taking control here. So right off the bat, you can see, Punk's clearly got some ulterior motives in joining this group.
Yeah, and as we'll see, also it seemed that Elijah was hesitant, so that's why CM Punk stepped up to the plate. But Elijah shows no hesitation, and that he wants to fight RVD tonight. So we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Nunzio versus Snitsky. And, the crowd in Italy gave Nunzio a standing ovation, even though he's not, I don't even think he's from Italy. He's from Brooklyn, New York, and just because he has the FBI, the full blood Italian, I guess. But it was a very good, loud cheer for Nunzio as he takes on Snitsky. Snitsky tosses Nunzio, a shoulder knockdown to Nunzio, drop kicks to Snitsky by Nunzio. Snitsky goes back to just manhandling Nunzio, the huge clothesline, and the big boot for the win. So Snitsky wins. He manhandles Nunzio, and he picks up another victory. I went with 1 star on the match. Nunzio did try to get some offense in to counter, but it ends up failing. But I think it was still a good match, so I went 1 star on it.
Yeah, I want to start too. Interesting to see. Good for Nunzio to get a match here in basically his home country. Even though he's basically getting squashed by Snitsky, does get a decent amount of offense in, a lot more than I would have expected. But eventually he does get polished off fairly quickly by Snitsky. So pretty, again, basic stuff just to continue building Snitsky as a monster.
Yep. Backstage, like I said before, Punk thinks Elijah is scared of RVD, and that's why Punk wanted the match. But Elijah says that he's not scared, and Elijah will take care of everything, and that Punk needs to fall in line. So it does seem that Elijah is not seeing eye to eye on Punk's philosophy and like Punk's ways, and that Punk isn't going to listen to Elijah being the leader of the New Breed. So we'll see how everything fans out tonight as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basic stuff here. Again, kind of seeing the Punk put the seeds of doubt there in Burke, and Burke trying to maintain control.
Mm-hmm. So now we have Marcus Corvan and Kevin Thorne versus Sandman and Tommy Dreamer. We still need to continue the ECW originals versus the New Breed feud, so everyone has to be involved for the most part. And we have double team moves by the originals to Corvan. Corvan counters Sandman. Thorne goes to work on Sandman. A double underhook suplex to Sandman. A tag to Tommy. A neckbreaker and a bulldog to Kevin Thorne. And then, so Tommy Dreamer then gets a pinfall, but it's really sloppy. And like, as the referee is counting, Tommy puts his hand on the ropes to cheat. But it looks like the referee can clearly see that Tommy has his hands on the rope, but like, he still counts the 3. I thought this match, again, like the match was good, but very, very sloppy at the end here with the pinfall. I went 1.5 on it.
Yeah, I went 1 3/4. It's pretty much almost kind of a phrase I've used before. Wash, rinse, repeat with a lot of these tag matches and these guys. They're still putting on decent stuff, but it's, again, pretty much, almost the same matches. But yeah, that ending really, because not only was it where the Dreamer had to grab the ropes, but you can clearly see that Thorne's right shoulder is not down for the 3 count. So, and again, you said about the ref, seeing Dreamer hold the ropes. He's also clearly seeing that Thorne's shoulder's not down, yet he still counts. So, I don't know if that was just a mistake on Thorne's part that he wasn't supposed to get his shoulder up, or if there was a botch by the ref. But like you said, it was just kind of real sloppy ending there, and again, just kind of baseline tag stuff that we're used to seeing from these two groups at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say also, I feel like this was an in-house referee, meaning that he's not on WWE's payroll, and like they got some random guy to be a referee in Italy for this show, because I don't even think he looked like one of the original or like one of the ECW referees that we have seen. So I was wondering that too. I was like, did they just get an in-house guy to referee this match?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't paying much attention to it, but if he was, it was clear it was clearly first day on the job.
Yeah, it was so bad. Yeah, so very sloppy ending to this match here, as more and more of the ECW originals versus New Breed matches occur. Bobby Lashley then comes to the ring, and he's in a good mood after Monday Night Raw. He shows us a recap of Raw. This is a historic moment for one Santino Marella, who debuts after being picked out of the crowd by Mr. McMahon to fight Umaga in a no-holds-barred match for the Intercontinental Championship. I remember watching this live when this happened, and I was surprised. I was like, oh boy, this is a jobber right here. Here's a jobber. He's going to get squashed to Umaga. And then Bobby Lashley came out. He gave the Dominator to Umaga and put this guy on top of Umaga for the pin. And lo and behold, this nobody named Santino Marella is now the Intercontinental Champion. What did you think when this happened, Steve? Do you remember watching that live?
I don't know if I watched it live, but I do remember hearing about it and seeing it eventually. It's like, it just felt really kind of bizarre because it's like the whole, the whole point of that segment was like Vince wanted to give, Umaga a warm-up match before the 3-on-1 at Backlash. So, he eventually gets to a point where he's got to pick somebody out. And like you said, he picks, Marella, who's an unknown. And, at one point, Marella looked, fairly decent there against Umaga until Vince made a no holds barred, and then it pretty much became a slaughter job by Umaga until Lashley came out and basically cost Umaga the title. And I thought the promo by Santino was fine, even though he said spoke almost all of it in Italian. So I'm not obviously I don't know what all he said. But I mean he's a good moment for him, in his home country to get a big moment like that to be IC champion. Obviously, we'll have to see. Well, I mean, we won't see it unfortunately, but we'll keep track of his progress on Raw and what goes on from here. If this is going to be kind of if it was just a one brief thing to kind of get the IC title off Umaga, and it also makes you wonder if that means that what that means for the 3-on-1. Does that mean that Umaga's now going to does that increase Umaga's chances to be the new champion if they went out of their way to take the IC title off of him and gave it to a newcomer? What is that? Does that mean that his chances have gotten better to become ECW champion?
That's a good counter as well, Steve. So we'll see how Backlash pays off when we get there. An interesting point. I didn't see that. I just thought they would bring fuel to the fire of the McMahons and Umaga versus Lashley. Of that. Oh, well, Lashley's getting one up on them by costing Umaga the Intercontinental title, so he's making Umaga even more mad. It's for Mr. McMahon to do for Umaga to do Mr. McMahon's dirty work. As well. So we'll see how that pans out as we get closer to Backlash, too. Mm-hmm. Now we have backstage, and basically, let me go back for a second before. Basically, he's just saying, like, thank you to Bobby Lashley, like he's saying grazie. He's saying grazie or gracias to Umaga, to Bobby Lashley, grazie to Italy, and to my family for helping me become the Intercontinental Champion. So, grazie means thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So backstage, CM Punk is trying to motivate the New Breed, but Elijah thinks that Punk is trying to be the leader of the New Breed. But CM Punk does say that he will have Elijah's back tonight when he goes up against RVD. And you can clearly see, like, all of Elijah's nervousness that this guy's trying to take away my group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because one thing we didn't mention briefly was there was a segment with Punk and Stryker, and Punk was basically telling him that that they need to be independent thinkers and think for themselves. And then, like you said, he's telling Burke, Corvan, and Thorne to come back from adversity with this loss. And then, like you said, Burke kind of confronting him about what he's been doing, and Punk basically telling him saying, hey, I got your back. So again, kind of sowing the seeds of distrust within the New Breed.
Mm-hmm. With that being said, here's our main event for this evening. It is RVD versus Elijah Burke. Elijah slaps RVD, but RVD kicks Burke. RVD goes into the ring post, spinning heel kick to Burke. A crossbody to Burke. RVD goes into the ring post again. Burke goes after RVD's shoulder. A flying armbar to RVD. Belly to back suplex by Burke. Clothesline by RVD. Monkey flip to Burke. RVD goes into the ref. A windmill kick to Burke. Rolling Thunder then is countered by Elijah Burke. He gets the knees up, which I always liked. I thought that was a great counter. It always must have hurt when RVD's going for the thunder and he meets the knees. That's gotta hurt and like knock out the wind of him. The wind out of RVD. So then Elijah calls for Punk to give him a chair. Punk slides the chair in, but he is way off, and it lands in RVD's hands. RVD throws the chair into Elijah's face, and then a 5-star frog splash for the win. For this match, Steve, I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was really good. As always, we see good matches from Elijah Burke and RVD, and that little slip up by Punk really cost Elijah the max. But that throw by the chair to the face was brutal, and so overall, I gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, I went 2.5 again. Basic, pretty solid stuff by these guys that we got used to at this point. Some good arm work by Burke throughout the match. That monkey flip was a little bit scary. I thought Burke was going to land on his head there for a second. And then the clear overshoot of the slide there by Punk to sending the chair to RVD, and then like you said, that RVD just threw that chair flush right at Burke's head. I wouldn't have been surprised if he got a small concussion out of that. And then frog splash by RVD for the win, and then Punk trying to apologize at the end there, saying that he didn't mean to do that. So kind of basic good match there by these guys, and some more seeds of doubt. I mean, and they didn't waste any time showing the seeds of doubt in between Punk and Burke. I mean, it was only a week ago that Punk joined, and now all of a sudden we're seeing the cracks form.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So CM Punk, like we said, he does say that he's sorry, and so we'll see how that goes. If Elijah Burke doesn't have doubts, he has a lot of doubts now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So now we're on to our next show. This is ECW, April 24th. We're live in London, England. Recap of last week's ECW. CM Punk has been trying to apologize to the New Breed, and Elijah Burke last week. He's been saying I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. So then he's seen backstage. He apologizes to the New Breed and costing Elijah Burke his match versus RVD. Ask if the CM Punk and the New Breed are on the same page tonight, and they all say yes. And even Elijah's like, yeah, we're cool, but Elijah still has his doubts about CM Punk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basic stuff here. Punk trying to, say that what he did, that he didn't mean to do what he did. And interesting note is that he shakes everybody's hand except for Burke's. So again, kind of playing the almost like he's toying around with Burke at this point. It's just again kind of just showing some more cracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our first match of the night is which I was surprised that this is happening before Backlash. It is Bobby Lashley versus Umaga, and Mr. McMahon is backstage as well. So just a little warm up before Backlash. See what is going to transpire between Bobby Lashley and Umaga. Umaga slaps Lashley. Punches are thrown by Lashley. Umaga throws Lashley into the steps. Lashley tries a flying clothesline, but it's countered into a Samoan drop. Umaga misses a splash. Lashley lays in strikes, but Umaga cuts him. Umaga tries the Samoan spike, but gets clotheslined, countered. Gets clotheslined for it. And then Armando Estrada causes the DQ, and Lashley spears him. and throws him to the outside. For this match, I went a star and a quarter. It was good. It was just like giving you like a little preview of what might happen at Backlash and see, Lashley and Umaga square up again. But again, they're just setting it up for Backlash. There was nothing really that was going to transpire as Armando Alejandro Estrada causes the DQ, and he takes a beating from Lashley as well. So I went a star and a quarter.
Yeah, I want to start with 3/4. Like you said, we weren't going to get a ton here because this was just teasing, what we were going to see on Sunday. Some basic power stuff by both guys. Umaga still looks pretty good. Bit of a weak ending, though, with Estrada coming in. I get why they wanted to kind of protect Umaga and not have him get pinned again. But Armando took a vicious beating there. I mean, he not only took a great spear, but that press slam to the floor was absolutely sick. I mean, he took a nasty bump there to the floor. I'm surprised that he didn't get seriously hurt by Lashley. But again, just kind of basic stuff to kind of tease to set the stage for what we were going to get on Sunday.
Yep. Backstage, Elijah thinks he made a mistake bringing in Punk. He's talking with Corvan, and he's like, we made a mistake. And Corvan goes, what do you mean we? You're the one who brought him in. And Elijah is really having second doubts. But Elijah says that he will lead the New Breed to victory. So, the New Breed is still under Elijah's ruling. And we'll see what happens tonight because the main event is a eight-man tag team match between the New Breed and the Originals. So we'll see how that pans out tonight, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, like Burke, like you said, Burke, now decide, thinking he made a mistake, and the rest of the New Breed tell him, letting him know, like, hey, this is all your these were all your decisions. You got to live up to this. And yeah, big main event. Not just a 8-man tag, it's an elimination match as well, which is a first. I mean, we saw them have a normal match at WrestleMania, then on the ECW after they did the Extreme Rules, and now we get an elimination match here. Maybe this will be kind of the final blow off for this feud that's pretty much been brewing since since February.
Yeah, since late February, early March, right as WrestleMania 23 is coming. So it's been brewing and going, and we've seen some good stuff, but maybe it's time to go into a new direction. So who knows what this will lead to between the New Breed and the Originals here.
Mm-hmm.
We have Snitsky now versus Balls Mahoney. This goes back to, you take a week off from a feud that you think you're starting and you just bring it back. Like, oh, do you remember this from like 2 weeks ago? Because I believe it was 2 weeks ago that Balls Mahoney saved Layla from Snitsky and took a beating from him because Snitsky was stalking the Extreme Expose. And then you take the week off in Italy, and then now you bring this back. Do you think the fans even remembered that these two had a thing going, like 1 week on, 1 week off, and now we're back here?
More than likely not. I even forgot about it. When I think it was when Snitsky was coming out and they showed that the highlights of it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. They did have something going. So, and side note, quick, you notice no Extreme Expose for these 2 weeks.
No, and I was wondering if that's because of like a visa issue or something. I was wondering, if they even have their passports up to date, because Kelly was so young at the time. It's like, do you have a passport and everything?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking. I wonder if that's like a visa or travel issue, to get into Europe. So we'll see what if they come back next week as well. We'll see when our next show. Yeah, so now we have, like I said, Snitsky versus Balls Mahoney. Snitsky shoves Balls down. Balls gets thrown into the turnbuckle, a huge clothesline to Balls, and a big boot. So this is basically a squash match. I went a half a star, it's definitely time for Snitsky to be introduced to the main players besides Nunzio and Balls Mahoney. So we'll see if he gets introduced to RVD or the Sandman, or even Sabu if they want to throw him in there. Even if Sabu loses, at least it's some main stardom here. So a half a star for me.
Yeah, half star for me too. Basic squash. The one point where Snitsky picked him up to drive him into the turnbuckle, he almost lost his grip, and I got scared for a second that he was going to drop Balls right on his head, which would have been really bad. But thankfully he hangs on to him just enough to get him into the corner, and then quick big boot for the win. And like you said, I mean, it's time for Snitsky to go gets into something with some teeth. I mean, They've done a good job to this point in building him as a monster heel. I mean, he's done a couple of squashes against the no names, and then he's done a couple of squashes against the name guys like you said, like Balls and Nunzio. But now it's time for him to move on to something more substantial. And again, like we were mentioning earlier, with this 8-man elimination match maybe being the kind of final blow-off to the Originals New Breed feud, maybe that's the moment where Snitsky gets involved with one of those maybe one of those originals, and gets into something a little bit more substantial to potentially move up to something bigger.
Yeah, because looks like time's running out for Snitsky and just destroying everyone. So we'll see where Snitsky goes from here. We have one more backstage segment. It is Punk, and he is pumping up the New Breed, getting them fired up for their matchup tonight. And our main event is the ECW Originals versus the New Breed. However, there are 5 New Breed members and only 4 original members, and I was a little bit confused on how this was going to work if there were 5 members, because I picked up on it and I said to myself, there's 5 of them and only 4. What are they going to do, a 5-on-4 handicap match, or how is this going to work? And now I understand it, because Elijah Burke tells Punk to sit this one out. So Punk sits down, and we have our 4-on-4 8-man elimination match. Your thoughts on, CM Punk being told to sit out, Steve?
It makes sense. I mean, again, Burke trying to reestablish the fact that he's the leader, and that the 4 of them can beat the Originals, and they don't. And Punk's gotta like Burke has said before, Punk's got to fall in line. So wait on the outside and let us do our job, pretty much.
Yeah, it does make sense. But I definitely do think that the audience wanted to see the crowd wanted to see CM Punk wrestle tonight. But what Elijah says goes. Now, so we have Tommy and Elijah Burke start out. Scoop slams by Tommy, a leg drop to Burke, a leg drop and a flapjack by Sandman. Sandman misses the rolling rock and is pinned, and Elijah Burke has Sandman's tights for that victory. DDT by Sabu to Stryker, a monkey flip by RVD, a spit-legged moonsault, and Stryker gets pinned by RVD. So a couple of good eliminations there as well. Crossbody to Corvon. Corvon works on Sabu. Sabu's next. Frequent tags to the New Breed. A pounce to Sabu for the pin. So the Sabu is eliminated by Corvon. Bulldog to Corvon by Tommy. A double team moves by the New Breed. And then Corvon gets disqualified because he's not listening to the referee. And he also put his hands in the ref, which I think was really dumb. Dumb of them, because Corvon is your powerhouse guy besides him and Burke, have switch that around with Thorne. Have Thorne get disqualified and thrown out of Ariel, and have Corvan and Elijah finish it off. Maybe they are trying to protect Corvan. So what did you think of Corvan getting eliminated and how he gets eliminated?
Yeah, I kind of got confused by that as well. I think, like you said, they were wanting to protect him by not having him get pinned. But that was a pretty weak DQ. Him basically crouching Dreamer on the barricade is what gets him disqualified, which I think was, I guess he wasn't the legal man, but it was pretty weak because, he looked pretty good in this match. He had the pounce he gives to Sabu is really sweet. I think this is the second time now that Sabu's taken sold really well on the pounce. And note about Sabu is that he's got a neck brace on. So he's, kind of clearly hurting at this point. But yeah, again, kind of a weak way to get Corvan out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was. And then we have a double. So then we have a sit-down bomb by Thorne to Tommy, clothesline by Thorne, a DDT by Tommy, a DDT by Tommy to Thorne, and that's what gets Kevin Thorne eliminated. And then Burke eliminates Tommy with the Elijah Express. So again, it is down to Elijah Burke and RVD. Elijah tries to pin RVD using the ropes, a clothesline to RVD, heel kick to Burke, then the spinning heel kick by RVD. Punk kicks Elijah Burke in the back, and then RVD goes for the frog splash, and the Originals get the win with the RVD scoring the pinfall on Burke. For the match, I went 2.5. I thought it was a very good match between the ECW Originals and the New Breed. If this is the blow-up, I think they did a very good job with the blow-up. And we'll see here that maybe we're going to start something new with Elijah Burke and CM Punk, because it looks like CM Punk has changed his mind in a way, and he gives Elijah Burke that really stiff kick to the back, and RVD gets the pin. So we'll see what happens between Elijah Burke and CM Punk. But also CM Punk does say, "I'm sorry" again, so maybe he's just sorry because he was sorry in a sarcastic way that he's really not sorry.
Yeah, I went 3.25. I really enjoyed this match. I thought they got they got a lot of time, 21 minutes. You could tell who the low guys on the totem pole of each side was, because Sandman and Stryker go out first pretty quickly, particularly Sandman. That tornado DDT that Sabu gave Stryker was pretty good. Stryker got spiked really good on that one. Like I said, Corvan looked really good. The pounce he gave to Sabu was nice. Despite the weak way he got exited out of the match, I thought he still looked pretty good. Good little showing there by Dreamer, getting rid of Thorne with the DDT, but then Elijah comes in with a really nice Elijah Express to get rid of him, and then a good little back and forth with him and RVD until towards, like you said, the end when Punk kind of figuratively sticks the knife in Burke's back with the kick, and then RVD gets the frog splash for the win to kind of looks like finally finish off this feud with the New Breed. The Originals end up on top, and then of course Punk and in the end kind of helps Burke to his feet, but then gives him the go to sleep, and then, like you said, very sarcastically says that he's sorry. So it looks like his association with the New Breed is over very, very quickly, and it looks like he's now it looks like we now got a internal feud here between Punk and Burke.
Yeah, so hopefully after Backlash they go a different direction and they end the feud of the Originals versus the New Breed here, and they get a new feud going. But they also they can keep the old feuds, but just under themselves, not representing the New Breed or the Originals, just having them just brawl and wrestle and see what happens there as well. And also, we need to see what happens who's going to become the ECW champion after the 3-on-1 handicap match for the ECW title. As it is, Bobby Lashley versus Umaga, Mr. McMahon, and Shane McMahon. Will Lashley be able to retain his title, or will one of the three opponents get the ECW title away from Bobby Lashley?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the only ECW match on Backlash, so all eyes are pretty much focused on that.
Yeah, and then I forgot also. Well, not that I forgot, but I forgot that the SmackDown World Heavyweight Title was a last man standing match between Undertaker and Batista, so that should be a good rematch. And then we have our Fatal 4-Way for the WWE title. We have John Cena versus Shawn Michaels versus Edge versus Randy Orton. So 3 huge matches for the Backlash pay-per-view, and we'll see how all those results come out as well, and see how what happens with ECW and what happens with Bobby Lashley and Mr. McMahon as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, that's going to do it. Well, that's going to do it for us covering the ECW shows. But before we go, Steve, do you have anything that you want to direct the listeners to?
You can usually find me over on the PTB Pop Experience with the usual shows I have: Pop Goes the Classics, Mickey Mount Rushmore, the Video Jukebox Song of the Day. Those are all going still pretty strong, so be sure to check those out. Also, be sure to join us on the PTB Facebook group. If you're not a member, let us know. We'll send you an invite. We get you in there. Lots of great stuff going on there. The greatest breakfast food of all time tournament continues on. By the time this drops, we will have either finished round 2 and started round 3. So lots of big food still up for grabs there as we're getting closer and closer to determining what is the greatest breakfast food of all time. So it'll just be keep voting in that, and just keep following us with everything that we do, not just on this feed, not just on the pop feed, but also on the North-South Connection feed, both in the audio form and, of course, on the North-South Connection YouTube channel.
Yeah, so a lot of things are, happening with, all the podcast groups and everything. I love listening to everything that the Place to Be and the other podcast shows produce. There's a lot of content out there, whether it's movies and comics or it's wrestling. There's just something in it for everyone at the Place to Be. Well, as for me, you can find me on Twitter, capital GRUNEY 316. That's Gruney 316. And also on this feed, I have a podcast called The Nation Invasion, where I and a guest talk about the WCW invasion of WWE throughout the summer of 2001. I recently just had Matt Souza on, and we covered the cage match between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, and Stone Cold trying to get a petition for the triple threat match at King of the Ring between him, Chris Benoit, and Chris Jericho to be stopped. But that gets ripped up by Spike Dudley. So Stone Cold goes on a rampage and beats up Spike Dudley. And the next episode will be about the Go Home edition of Raw and SmackDown before King of the Ring 01, where the stalker is going to reveal himself, who has been stalking the Undertaker's wife. He said it on the last episode that he was going to reveal himself. So me and the guests of that will cover who is the stalker as well. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Extreme Resurrection. He's Steve Riddle. I'm James Gruenberg. We will see you next time. Stay extreme.
I heard you've been looking for me, but you look for trouble. You're gonna see that your words are dangerous. Your talk is cheap. So now I'm standing here. You tell yourself you know what to do when